All right, I'm going to do a just a short video here on the basics of using slope-intercept form for that IXL assignment you guys are supposed to do. So slope-intercept form is just y equals mx plus b, where m represents the slope of the line and b represents the y-intercept of the line. So if I gave you some information like you have a line that has a slope of -2 and y-intercept of 4. Well, we're just looking for these two things to fill in. Everything else stays the same. So I would just start it out by saying y equals, and I know m is my slope, and it says right here my slope is -2, so I'm going to put it in a -2. The x is just going to stay right there where it is, x, and my y-intercept is 4. Well, it doesn't say it's -4, so I know it's +4. So I'm going to put a plus 4 here because it's +4. Now if I did the same thing and I said the slope was -2 and instead I said the slope was -4, well, it'd be nearly the same, except I would say y equals -2x, and instead of saying +4 I would put -4 to show that the y-intercept is -4 or -4. Okay, and the same with slopes. If it says it's a negative slope, put the negative sign in there with it. If it's a positive slope, you don't have to. Now, sometimes in the IXL assignment, they're going to say y equals blank x plus blank. And they'll tell you, they'll have their problem, they're going to say whatever, and they'll say slope, I can't spell right, slope 3, y-intercept -4. Well, we're just going to fill those two boxes in. Slope 3. So go ahead and put the 3 there. Y-intercept is -4. Well, they say plus. So if they say plus, I need to make sure I put my negative sign with the 4. Another way that you might see the same problem shown on IXL is, again, they'll have y equals blank x minus blank. Well, the first part is done the same. The slope is still a 3, so I'm just going to fill that 3 in. And now, because they already show me this negative sign here, I don't have to put the negative sign with the 4. The negative is already here and 4. Okay? You don't want to put that in there twice, because if I did add this negative sign here, then I would have minus and negative, which really means plus. So don't double up on that negative sign. Pay attention to how they ask you the question. That might be a little trick that they throw in there to get you to get one wrong. So pay attention to that. A couple other things that are simple that they might throw at you. They might say, well, they might give it to you in reverse order and say, well, the y-intercept is 7 and the slope is 2/3. Well, just make sure you pay attention, and you always know that the slope portion comes first, and then my y-intercept comes last. So just pay attention to that, because they will change the order in the problem for you. Remember, the y-intercept part goes over here. It's a +7, so saying +7 is great. And my slope is 2/3. So here you would just enter it in as a fraction, 2/3. So this would really just say y equals 2/3 x plus 7. Another thing they might tell you is that the slope is 0, maybe. Maybe they're going to say the slope is 0 and the y-intercept is -3. Well, if they give you this, you're going to fill it in like you should. Put your 0 in for the slope. Put your 0 in there. And then because they say plus, I need to make sure I include the negative with that 3 as well. -3. Now, if they say y equals and they just give you the box where you have to fill everything in, well, what's 0 times x? What's 0 times 5? 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times x is 0. 0 times anything is 0. So that goes away, and I'm just left with the -3. So, saying y equals 0x minus 3 is the same thing as saying y equals -3. So, pay attention to how they're wanting you to answer it. If they leave you the empty boxes like this first example did, fill in the boxes. And if they just leave the whole box blank for you to do the whole equation, make sure you think about it and how it should be at the end. One other example that kind of deals with the 0. Let's say we're doing the whole thing and I said, well, my y-intercept is 0 and my slope is -1/2. Now again, they could ask this in a couple of different ways. They could say y equals blank spot x plus blank spot, or they could just say you write the whole answer. First part is the easy one. If y-intercept is 0, make sure you remember that that goes in the second box. Y-intercept is always in the second box. Slope is -1/2. Make sure you include the negative sign. -1/2. Very similar if I have this box to fill in where I have to put everything in there. Y equals -1/2 x plus 0, but what's anything plus 0? 7 plus 0 is still 7. -1/2 plus 0 is still -1/2. So because we're adding 0 to it, we're just going to kind of eliminate saying the plus 0 part and just say y equals -1/2 x. And it's just assumed that there's an imaginary plus 0 here at the end that we don't really need to show. So I'm just going to make sure that part's gone. And this is what you would answer for that. If you guys have any more specific questions after going through this IXL assignment, feel free to leave a comment or drop me an email and let me know, and I'll do another video if we need to.